Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. It's Colin from Glass Half Broken, and I have a film I'd like to talk about today. It's a little film called The Rock. It's a mid '90s action classic. It's directed by Michael Bay. Stars Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, and Ed Harris. Now, here's the thing. I've made a few other videos on this channel before in which I try to explain a film from memory that I have not seen in a very long time. And The Rock is one of them. This is one of those situations where I have it on Blu-ray, and I bought this on Blu-ray, but I didn't watch it again. The last time I actually watched this movie was well over 10 to, I'd say about 10 years ago. So here we go. Let's see how much I can remember of The Rock. All right. So basically, you have. All right, I haven't even looked at the synopsis on the back. So okay, you have Nicolas Cage. He's either a CIA, FBI, law enforcement man of some kind, and he's been tasked to infiltrate Alcatraz because Alcatraz is now taken over by Ed Harris and his men, and Ed Harris is like a ex army man, but he doesn't like what the government is doing for some reason, and I think Michael Bean is in it, and I think he's one of the people. So he gets a bunch of other ex-army men together, and he says, "We're going to take over Alcatraz and have that be our base of operations, and we're gonna release a horrible toxic gas into something like they have these little balls. There's these little green balls of death, and they're filled with some kind of either a noxious gas or something." And they're gonna use it to hurt people in San Francisco, and unless they get some kind of demands because the government isn't treating army people correctly or something, and there's some weird. So instead of starting some kind of foundation, Ed Harris's character is just no, how about I take the city hostage and do some fucking James Bond bullshit, and let's do that instead. So yeah, at that point they've taken over Alcatraz, and now they're just all right, here's our demands, and they're crazy demands that the government doesn't want to make. So they send Nicolas Cage to go. Well, they send Nicolas Cage to go get Sean Connery, and Sean Connery was someone who is he was one of the very few people that was able to escape from Alcatraz way back in the day when it was an actual prison and not just a happy fun time land that you can go as a tourist. And so they're just all right, Nicolas Cage, go get Sean Connery, and you two go in there and infiltrate Alcatraz. I kind of don't remember why they need Nicolas Cage when they could have just, gotten Sean Connery and had him do it. But you needed Nicolas Cage in there too because he was famous at the time. And so yeah, he was just. I want to say this was just right after he won an Oscar. Might be right before, around that time. Very big guy. Let's have Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery do shit together and kill dudes. So basically, Nicolas Cage comes at Sean Connery, and he's got long hair, and he's got all scruffy and shitty, and so they're just all right, well, we need to cut your hair and trim your facial hair and whatever, and then so then they're okay, and then they're in a hotel, and he tries to get away or something, and he proves that he's still got it. So he I don't know. Then Anthony Clark, who is this comedian who was quasi popular at the time, he played a gay hairdresser. He's oh, it's gonna cut your hair. Oh, look at that, Sean Connery, gonna cut your hair. And then Sean Connery escapes, and then but then they're just all right, you escaped. You showed that you're a cool guy or whatever, and then because he wants to go see his daughter, and then they're just no, you can't see your daughter, you got to go take out Ed Harris, and he's just I want to see my daughter, so he escapes, sees his daughter, and then he comes back, he's all right, now let's go do it, and so they're all right, cool, so they get a team of dudes, and they infiltrate Alcatraz, and for some weird reason, even though you're supposed to kind of feel for these ex-army dudes because they haven't really been treated right. They're these veterans. They're super shitty, and they're kind of assholes if I remember correctly. And even Ed Harris is still just kind of this maniacal villain, even though he's supposed to be just no, we're doing this because of we're doing it for the vets. And But then it's just like, but we're still gonna do awful villainy shit. So Sean Connery gets them in, and I don't remember that much about Sean Connery once they get into Alcatraz. But all I remember is just that it's like, all right, we need to get in. The way I escaped was when I went into this place, and then I rolled under a thing, and then there's like a bunch of weird obstacle course shit that will kill you. But I know the patterns, and so he like gets in there, and then gets them in, and then after that, I kind of don't remember what he does after that. I want to point out that Sean Connery has top billing, and Nicolas Cage second billing, with Ed Harris at a third. So, and then Nicolas Cage is running around, and but then he asks one of the guys, just like, is it glass or plastic? And they're all like, what are you talking about? It's like, the toxin, the toxic green balls. Is it made out of glass or is it plastic? And then, kind of pointing out that they could break at any time. I forget what was the worst answer. I think it was like if it was glass, it was going to shatter, but if it was plastic, it would have been fine or something. I don't remember what happened with that. He also really likes the Beatles. They want to really make sure at the very beginning he likes the Beatles. And he has like a record, and he's just like, haha, meet the Beatles on vinyl, and that kind of doesn't go much anywhere. Then there's a dude who has a rocket, and he stands in front of the rocket. He's one of the bad guys, or one of the army men. And then Nicolas Cage is just like, "Do you like Elton John?" And he's just like, "No, it's easy listening bullshit." And Nicolas Cage is like, "Well, that's too bad, because you're the Rocket Man." And then he sets off the rocket and kills that dude. And that was a memorable, stupid scene. But then eventually, Nicolas Cage, he gets irradiated with the fart gas that's in the balls, so he has to like take this syringe and like jam it into his heart. And they talk about that earlier, and we're just like, well, if you're ever in you've got the toxin in your brain or whatever, just jam this syringe into your heart. And so he does that, and then he sets off the flares to let the government or whoever, the agency, to let them know that everything's fine and Ed Harris has been subdued or whatever. And he does the thing where he takes the two flares and he's just like, yeah, it's dramatic. And they don't have it on the back. Oh no, yeah, they do. Okay, they have it on the back, and that's like a famous part of the film, even though it's at the end, but they show it in like the trailer. And then Sean Connery escapes because originally it was like he was in prison, and then it was gonna like reduce his sentence or something, but he just fucking escapes, I think, and then he goes off with his daughter, and then Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage finds out government secrets because Sean Connery knew government secrets, and I think that was the reason why he was in prison. He was like an Edward Snowden type character. And then the movie ends, and I believe that is The Rock. There might have been some things that I missed, but that's about all I can remember of The Rock. And it ends with Nicolas Cage getting some documents that Sean Connery, he told him the location, and then he's just like, "Oh, hey, honey, do you want to know who really killed JFK?" And she's like, "Whoa, government secrets, woo, edgy." And it's a slam bang action thriller, according to Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert seemed to enjoy that. It's an enjoyable film, from what I can remember. All right, well, that'll about do it. And let's see if that's actually accurate. I'll see you guys later. You have a great day. Subscribe, like, share, and all those other things. Thank you very much, and have a great day.